ladies and gentlemen, we are about to spoil episodes 4, well, more like 5. We talked a little bit about 4 last week.
Sure.
Through 10 of House of Cards. If you do not wish to be spoiled, please close your ears, end your connection, mute your audio, or take some protective measure. I can't emphasize this enough.
That's true. Hey, so here's the thing, Tom, is I strongly suspect that the last 3 episodes of season 2 of House of Cards will knock me on my ass. And the reason that I strongly suspect that they will knock me on my ass is because episodes 4 through 10 have very much not knocked me on my ass.
Now, Brian, you are a cruel individual because I just went through that big warning to people that we're going to spoil 5 through 10.
Yeah.
And you immediately tempt me like a snake in the garden of like, but Tom, I know you've watched those last 3 episodes. I mean, don't spoil them, but tell me.
Well, okay, so I just want to set the stage because what you're about to hear is going to be fueled by a lot of frustration by me. And I understand. It could be I am giving enough credit to the creators, to our good friend Dana Brunetti and company, that they knew that the middle might drag because they needed to set up things that will kill me at the end. And I suspect that is the case, and that's great. However, having just finished the lull of the second season, allow me to air some frustrations. Number one, I watch House of Cards for one thing, and that is to watch a conniving, manipulative sociopath act like a freaking superhero with the ability, the gifted ability to manipulate other people. He is a fantasy of who I wish I could be. He's Vic Mackey, and except an evil version of everything, right? It's I wish I had this ability to predict outcomes and prepare for them and socially just navigate these waters in such a way to get everything I wanted. At the end of season 1, the best part of the entire experience was realizing that from the beginning, this guy had ambitions far higher than we dared believe were possible, and to see it all happen all at once and to realize that everything was part of his plan, it was a Sixth Sense Fight Club level mind-exploding moment. Instead, episodes 4 through 10 of season 2, we've gotten exact opposite day. We have not seen cold calculating Frank Underwood. Instead, we've seen him get blindsided by stuff that he didn't see coming. We see him motivated by projects that he cares about. Like he's pushing to get legislation through that's important to him and his wife. Same with Claire Underwood. You know, it's like, oh, but it's just really important that we get this like restructuring of sexual politics in the army thing because that matters to me. Like that's not them. That's not who I see being them. That whole episode where he meets some community theater reject pretending to be his grandfather's grandfather and is like deeply moved by the idea of being in the place where his grandfather died. None of that is Frank Underwood to me. And as a result, we're left with a guy who doesn't have a plan, who gets blindsided by everything on all sides, ping-pongs around, is putting out fires left and right, who's getting hammered in the press, who is far from the top of his game. We got a villain, I guess, that we're not supposed to like in Raymond Tusk, who just looks like a freaking version of Frank Underwood who actually has his act together instead of the actual Frank Underwood. And I'm just left like, why do I watch this again? So I can only assume all of this is because Dana Brunetti has a plan.
Well, Dana Brunetti is an executive producer and, like you say, a friend of the show. Bo Willman probably has the plan. He's the writer on this. Interesting that the last 2 episodes you watched were directed by Jodie Foster.
I saw that, and I thought, like, how many Jodie
Wright.
Fosters can there be? What was the other one?
Robin Wright.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So I wonder if House of Cards Season 2 unusually is suffering the sophomore slump rather than the sophomore bump. And and well, maybe not that unusually. A lot of shows struggle to find out who they are in the first season, and then they have a little sophomore bump where they're like, oh, I think we're getting it. And then the third season, they really come into their own, right?
Sure.
It feels like House of Cards knew exactly what it was in season 1, but it wasn't sure. Well, it knew it was going to get a second season, so it held the big reveal, which is Frank becomes vice president,
right,
even though we knew it was going to happen, until season 2. This time, we know that Frank Underwood is a master manipulator, so that's not a big surprise anymore, right? What we have to do is put Frank in a position where it looks like he's not going to win, where it looks like he's being outmaneuvered, and so that's what Tusk is. Tusk is that guy that looks like he's actually better than Frank. So what you're supposed to be feeling, I think, and I don't really want to speak for the staff of House of Cards, the production staff, but you're supposed to be thinking, well, wait a minute, I thought this guy was a master manipulator, and he's still Frank Underwood. Has he lost his touch? How is he going to get out of this one? How is he going to prevail? Instead of that, you're like, well, I thought he was a master manipulator, and he's not doing it, so I'm disappointed in him.
Yes, I'd say that's an accurate assessment. that is how I feel. Mainly because, and keep in mind, it's not just him. It's that entire world was made of badasses who got stuff done in the most perverse, horrific ways possible, right? And it extends beyond Frank, right? So number one, we like seeing in the first season, I love seeing Frank at the top of his game and blowing my mind like, wow, this guy is a devious, maniacal jerk. And then you see, oh my God, it's not just him. He has this weird like handshake relationship with his wife, who also is devious in her own ways. That's crazy. And then you see it go down from there. Oh, Doug Stamper's devious, and he's like the meaty, grimy hands that choke the throats that Frank once choked or whatever. And instead, like all of these people, we see weaknesses, and that's fine if your goal is to make them sympathetic. But they're all beyond my sympathy. There's no...
I don't think... and I could be wrong about this. I don't think they're trying to make them sympathetic. I think they're trying to create tension of whether they're going to overcome. Because remember, the twisted hero that we're dealing with here is somebody who is able to get their way no matter what. Ends justify the means. And now you're expecting that. You're like, well, wait a minute. They seem to be tripping over themselves. Or are they? And you're not feeling suspense.
No. I'm not. And in fact, also, to be honest, the reason I'm not feeling any suspense is because they started this season with a genuine noose around his neck. And they got to the part where it started to tighten, and then they just cut it, and they're like, yeah, let's throw all that away. Let's do, hey, anyone got a noose you want to put around my neck? It's like they had genuine tension, this idea that somebody in the face of being about to be busted for murder. And then at the end of the episode 1, busted for double murder. The fact that they would remove all tension by essentially making it clear that he got away with it and that everybody's contained, all of a sudden it's like, I'm annoyed because it's like you had tension. You had me. I genuinely didn't know how he was going to get out of it. And you're like, oh yeah, no, forget about that. They're setting up a franchise for the next thing. And it's like, I don't know. It was a big loss to throw me all the way back to everything's fine.
Well, it's kind of an Act 2 syndrome, right? Act 2 is getting us from learning about Frank Underwood in season 1
right,
to what is the ultimate fate of Frank Underwood in season 3. And I agree with you that I felt like I thought killing Zoe was fine. That was a great, like, what the hell
it was a
moment,
great
right?
episode 1 thing to do, right?
And then having her boyfriend on the trail was good, because he's discredited, so that gives Frank an upper hand. And that makes Frank careless, because he doesn't think he has to worry as much. But then he just gets thrown in jail and is essentially out of the picture by episode 8.
Yeah.
They bring in the deal with Claire and the pictures and all of that, which makes Claire... I feel like they're trying to give Claire the role Frank had in season 1. In season 1, Claire was shown to be, appropriate to be Frank's wife and has her own manipulative tendencies. This is her season to shine.
I'll tell you what.
That interview, the television interview, insane. Right?
That was a great moment. That was a great moment, and I could see them doing that, trying to be like, you think Frank's devious? Guess who else is devious? Is Claire. If they were going to do that, and I understand all the reasons why this couldn't happen, but imagine an alternate reality when everything about episode 1 was exactly the same right up until the moment when Claire and Frank are in the bathroom. But imagine Frank is the one who leaves and Claire addresses the home viewer instead. And all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, now we're seeing like this is her story. And this is like if it's going to be about her story, then make it about her story. Give me something different.
I don't think you have to do that. I get the appeal to that, and that is definitely a legitimate way to go with the story. On the other hand, I don't think they have to do that to make Claire the story. In fact, I think Claire is the story in season 2. I just think they should have leaned on her some more. And they wouldn't have had to have her address the camera to do that. They could still be Frank talking about like, well, crap, I need to get my act together.
I agree. But okay, so anyway, things that are frustrating to me. And keep in mind, first of all, I'm continuing to watch it. If the last episodes are great, then fine. I could be wrong about everything. And everything where I'm at could be leading up to a big thing. Whatever. But things that feel weird to me are the humanization of Frank. Like he's already damned. I don't want to see him be humanized. Or if you do, give me something better than he likes to paint figurines. That ain't going to make me suddenly think he's a great guy. Do it the way they did with Vic Mackey, where from episode 1, you knew he was damned, you knew he was inhuman, and you knew he needed to go to jail for the rest of his life. But then find yourself in these deeply touching human moments where you root for him, not because...
I don't think that's what they're doing. I think that's part of what's leading you astray here is you're seeing these things as like, well, I guess I'm supposed to think Frank is human, right? I guess I'm supposed to think like Vic Mackey in these human situations.
Yeah.
That's not what's going on with Frank Underwood at all. They are not trying to humanize him. They are trying to show like the twisted mind of Frank Underwood.
I guess, but it's not so interesting a place that I'm being blown away. Let me say one other thing. House of Cards is the Shield. It is over the top. It is outrageous. It is horrific and yet strangely seductive. It is Breaking Bad. It is not The Wire, which is what was very difficult for watching all of the Freddy's Barbecue storyline because that looked an awful lot like they were trying to be The Wire.
No, the Freddy's Barbecue storyline is The Wire, and there are elements of The Wire in the political machinations, for sure. There's a lot of Garcetti in that, but you're right in that this show isn't The Wire. If you're going to be The Wire, you almost have to commit 100% to that from the beginning, and you can't have a Frank Underwood addressing the camera.
Yeah.
I don't think they're wrong to do that.
Any more than you could have a Vic Mackey having a conversation with McNulty, right? I mean, it's like it's ridiculous. It's two different worlds.
McNulty is real, and Vic Mackey is an impressionist.
He is a projection of what you would imagine a certain type of cop to be.
And here's where I think that there is some interesting tension that I don't mind personally. They have a Wire setting. They're attempting to show like this is how the sausage gets made. This is how bills get passed. And the Freddy story is kind of a weird deviant of like, and here are the people on the side of the road that sometimes get swept into these great events. But you don't have real characters. I don't think that they would expect you to think that Claire and Frank are realistic portrayals. They are impressionistic. They are projections, if you will.
Yeah, well, and I guess it's just a difficult mishmash. And again, I feel a little bit bound here in that I feel like everything I'm saying right now might be 100% wrong given how it turns out at the end of the second season. But however we got here at this moment midway through, this is very much how I'm feeling. But
yeah, there's a few things I want to say, and I just don't remember exactly when those storylines become apparent. And I'm not saying them because I want to wait until you've finished watching the last 3.
Well, fair enough. In the meantime, if you guys want to tell me how wrong I am, but you can't rely on anything that happens after episode 10. You have to only be on representing where I am at this point. Then send us an email.
And that's the problem with binge watching, right? If I had stopped also at episode 10 one night, I would remember how I felt at that point,
right,
and be able to tell you, okay, this is it. The problem I'm having is we stopped at episode 8 one night, and then we've stopped at episode 11 one night, and then we watched 12 and 13.
Yeah.
So I remember where I was at 8, and I remember where I was at 11, but I don't remember where I was at 10.
Well, that's fine. I would say where you are at 8 is roughly where I am right now. I mean, 9 and 10 would seem to be just kind of keep on going. I don't know. Like I'm not crazy about I don't know. The new majority whip and having sex with Remy. All right, she's a weirdo and she's killed a lot of people and likes pain or whatever, all that crap. Like I don't know.
There are some unfulfilled threads, and I don't want to say too much about that because some of them do get fulfilled after episode 9. But there are some threads, and one of them is the reporter, like you're saying, where he just sort of trails out. Now, obviously, they can bring that back in season 3 in a big way, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, this is why that was trailed out that way. So I think they are setting some stuff up. The odd thing about that, though, is I don't think they knew they had a season 3 when they were shooting season 2.
Yeah, I guess so far, and I think this is accurate, regardless of what happens, is almost all of season 1, Frank Underwood happened to the world. And almost all of season 2 appears to be the world happening to Frank Underwood, which I find a far less engaging story. Would you say that's fair to say?
The whole theme of this year is, can Frank move up another notch?
Well, I mean, there's only one notch to go with, right? So it's like,
yeah.
And to be honest, I'm sort of steeling myself, and please, you don't need to say or react or anything, but I'm just like, what are they going to do? Make him president? I guess that's the only place left. And so, I'm intentionally looking away.
Well, there you go. See, if that explains a lot of what you're feeling, because the stakes for a lot of this stuff, you're like, well, I'm not sure I'm cool with those stakes.
Well, and that's just it, is to me, like, okay, if you're going to play the same game as before, then you have a bunch of thematic challenges. If you want to tell a different story, if you want an Empire Strikes Back story, that's what I was waiting for. The first thing was, in an evil way, he blew up the Death Star, and now he surprised us. He did the unthinkable, and he's vice president. So let season 2 be the Empire Strikes Back, where you're just watching this noose get tighter and tighter as on the fringes, all these things coming together, and holy crap, they're going to get him, they're going to get him, they're going to get him. But then he slips out at the end. That's what I expected from season 2. And instead, I got this weird other story of like, forget about season 1. That's all fine now. And instead, I guess be afraid of these Indians? Yes, Indians funneling money in unexpected ways. Doesn't that do it for you? No, Chinese. It doesn't. Yeah, they're China.
Chinese. It is they're taking parts of real stories and combining them, right? You got a little Clinton in there. You got a little Bush. You got a little Nixon. Frank Underwood, in some respects, is an evil Gerald Ford at this point, right? Because he's an unelected vice president who ascended through scandal. And I think that's part of it is, I do remember where I was at the end of episode 11, and I don't think it's very spoilery. I was like, okay, where this is going, where it's pointed right now, is not that interesting to me. So I'm very excited to watch those last 2 episodes, because I know that's not where it's going to end up, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
And I guess I'm there, and it's like I have enough faith in them, but I'm disappointed. I don't know. It just seems like we could have gotten here using somewhere else. But again, like we'll see. Maybe I'll be blown away, and I'll say it couldn't have happened any other way. I still have faith.
Well, next week, hopefully you'll have caught up, and we can like have a proper like what did it all mean and where are we headed for season 3 conversation on Spoilerin time. In the meantime, Brian and I did have a little chat about possibly picking up True Detective.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% down for that. I'll get a hold of it's all on HBO Go, everything so far, right? And I'm going in super cold, only knowing that everybody loves it, and that is all
I know, and that's not cold enough, I suppose. But yeah, I'm in the same boat where I haven't gone and looked at what it's about much. I've seen billboards, I know the basic premise, and I've heard people go, you have to watch it.
You know what? We should also spoil what happens on Hacking the System this Thursday at 8 Central, 9 Eastern and Pacific on National Geographic Channel. National
Geographic Channel is going to have 2 Hacking the System. So I don't know if that's a spoiler.
Back to back. No, that is a spoiler. You know what? I'll spoil them right now. One's about hacking your car. One's about, I have a little inside info on it, Tom. The other one's about hacking your home.
Okay, yeah, but you don't know things like, I don't know, they're going to tell me how to operate, open two cars with one key fob. You
Well,
don't know that level.
as a matter of fact, I do, and they are, and you will. You'll learn how you could smash a mallet full strength into a window and it won't shatter, and yet you flick a little piece of porcelain and it'll shatter.
They're stealing that though. I saw that's trending on YouTube right now. That video.
Boy, but you are timely. Yeah, I guess that just hit the now trending on YouTube. Holy cow, it's been out for
wait, that's from that show.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
The host is a jackass though, so watch out for that.
Well, YouTube says that about every living being.
Yeah. Amazing. Dude, good times. I can't wait to actually find out how everything went and talk to you.
All right. See you next week on Spoilerin' Times, spoilerers.
Yeah, you spoiled children.
You're spoiled awesome. Spoiled drops.
I'm looking at it. It says it's trending.